DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Freemasonry is also a cult. You need to get out of that, Andre. You need to get out of that
He
cult.
can't, it's too far, it's too deep. What's wrong with it?
What is wrong with Freemasonry?
You're always having a go at the Freemasons. Come on, let's have it out.
Right, oh yeah, we spoke about this before. I told you that the Freemasons worship the god of Hinduism. The chief god is Om.
Do you, Andre?
He says he doesn't.
Hinduism have got
Are you a Hindu?
over 3,000 false gods, and the chief god is called Om. Now, when you're not allowed to speak about Jesus in the Freemasons lodge, correct?
You're not allowed to speak about religion or politics, no.
Yeah,
He's flanneling, isn't he? Yeah, I think you've got him on the ropes,
You're not
Tim.
allowed to speak the name of Jesus. You're not allowed to speak about Jesus.
Well, you're not allowed. You're not specifically banned from talking about Jesus.
Of course you are.
There's a ban on religion and politics.
Come on, be honest now, Andre. You know that the Freemasons, you don't believe Jesus Christ is God.
But I mean, you make an interesting point, Kate, but let Andre answer, because it's either a fact or it's not. So
yeah, give him his room. Answer the question.
Very simple.
No,
Ken's asked the question. Can you speak about religion or Jesus in particular?
Freemasonry is a series of mythical stories based on the Old Testament. That is what it is. But effectively, what it is you get together and you have these ceremonies which are all hocus pocus, but it's effectively it's similar to the trade guilds of the City of London, like the worshipful company.
They were very good builders,
of stonemasons or whatever. There isn't one that's that. But
Andre, why are you a part of it then if it's hocus pocus?
It's fun, isn't it?
It's quite hard to explain, but I don't think anybody. Well, I'm happy to answer.
Go on, answer. Well, Ken, he's going to answer what you said, why he's a member of it. Let him answer that.
Andre.
But I mean, look, I'm the worshipful master of a Masonic lodge that meets in Great Queen Street. I can tell you some of the answers. The answer actually is that in reality, the stories are mythical, but they're supposed to illustrate how you should be moral in life. So the first story is about the building of the Temple of Jerusalem, and the second one is about the people but it goes on.
But it's Old Testament, so it wouldn't have Jesus in, would it?
But also, and this is the thing about any secretive society, which is what happens, and people say about the magic circle, it's a society of secrets. People put their own sort of prejudices onto that side.
Yeah.
What the Masons do, I'm not a Freemason, but I know lots of people who are.
Yes.
What they do tremendous work for charity.
Yeah, 13 million a year for charity.
Fantastic. And that's what we should focus on. Are you happy with that answer, Ken?
No. We don't focus on that if we believe in God. We don't focus on good works. We're all sinners.
But do you believe, Ken? Ken, can I ask you this?
Aggressive.
Ken, can I ask you this?
You're talking nonsense. The Bible is about Jesus Christ, the Messiah.
No, but Ken, can I ask you this question?
Death and resurrection.
Not the Old Testament.
Ken, can I ask you this question? Because there are two things. Look, it's perfectly possible that I'm deluded, and I don't have a problem with that. But then there's the other thing, that I'm a liar. Do you believe literally that I know Freemasonry to be satanic and nonetheless continue to do it?
You're foolish. It is satanic. It is from the pits of hell. You brought a curse upon yourself when you joined the Freemasonry. You're a cursed man. You brought a curse on your life and your family. You need to get prayed for. You need to repent and come out of that.
But he has accepted Jesus. So what's the rules say there about getting to heaven? If he accepts Jesus and is a Freemason, what's that?
But then you've got to come out of these sinful cults. Andre, I'm talking in love to you, Andre.
I know, but I genuinely, I promise you, rightly or wrongly, I do not believe I'm worshipping the Hindu satanic god. I genuinely don't believe I'm doing that.
You check it out, man, and you'll find out you're not worshipping the God of the Bible, that's for sure. And the Bible is Jewish, it's not Christian.
Well, the Old Testament
is all Jewish, Old Testament and New Testament, all written by Jews.
But just be really clear on this, Ken, because it's such an important thing where Andre's made a couple of points where we can work out what you're disagreeing with them. He says they're not allowed to discuss religion at all in the Masons or politics. The other thing he's saying is that you can be a Christian or a Jew or whatever you want to be and a Mason at the same time. Is that a fair summary?
You have to be a one God God religion,
there's actually, you have to believe in one God. And actually, in some orders, you are required to be a Christian.
Okay, there you go.
You couldn't actually be a Hindu then, because you have more than one God.
No, so what, just
the irony of it.
Just dealing with those 2 points then, Ken. Andre is a Mason. He's telling you what actually happens, because he's a Mason, he witnesses it. Yeah. What's your response to that?
I believe he's deluded, as he said. He's a deluded man.
We all know that.
Well, let me reply. You asked me a question. I believe Andre is deluded. I believe that every person in the Masonry is deluded by the devil, deceived by the devil. And I believe those in the Catholic Church who pray to Mary and believe in christening to become a Christian are deluded by the devil. To become a Christian, we have to repent of our sins to the God of the Bible, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, turn from sin and believe in Jesus. Then go and get baptized.
Okay, Ken, thank you very much. Well, I have to say, I'm a Catholic Freemason, so I am pretty much buggered. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense.
I love the guts for talk. Obviously, Ollie hasn't got them anymore because he went to the Philippines to have them removed.
Some of them removed.
But I like
it.
It was good. I know, that's what I'm saying. Oh, okay. I love this thing. So I was listening to the trailer. So first time I've heard it. Have you got the guts for talk? But Ollie obviously hasn't.
Okay, let's go to Terry in Dover. Terry, you're on talk.
Hello. Good evening, Andre and Ash.
All right, tell. Andrew's here.
Hey.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I've come rather late to the programme tonight, and the first person I encountered was dear old Ken, and he does tend to drive me mad. I'm sorry, Ken.
But he loves you. He loves you. You're going to hell. You're going to die, but he loves you.
Well, he loves everybody, doesn't he? Of course, he loves thy neighbour and all the rest of it. Sorry, Andre, are you talking pretty much exclusively about religion? Because you're not. Okay.
Not really.
No, we were talking. To be honest with you, Ken was also commenting about the grooming gangs, about the fact that we have to be much more honest about the backgrounds to the grooming gangs, that there is something related to the Pakistani community, there is something related to the Muslim community. Now, I don't know whether that is uncontrolled immigration or whether it's something from the cultural background or whether it's racism or whatever, but we do need to address that issue. So that's something we've been talking about. Obviously, we've been talking about fast-track NHS for asylum seekers and illegal immigrants, which drive people mad.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sorry. Well, it's basically just broadly about religion. On the question about the grooming gangs, and you say whether it's to do with immigration or a cultural thing. My first instinct there when you said that was the fact that, I mean, you know, in that religion, they do tend to be fairly flexible with women folk, don't they? They can treat them badly.
Well, the intention of Islam is to define the role of women and protect them, not necessarily to put them down. I mean, there's nothing. Whatever way you look at it, there's nothing in Islam that says that you should, rape a young girl with a broken glass bottle. Yeah, I mean, and so that's where I feel quite sorry for sensible and moderate Muslims. Not ordinary people.
Yeah, and to be fair, as you say, this is abhorrent. The people who do this, and the fact that they happen to be from one particular religion or whatever it is, doesn't mean that everybody from that religion
exactly
is doing
that.
Also, and I don't know if you agree with me on this. I think the euphemism, and here's a euphemism, calling it a grooming gang as opposed to rape, torture group.
Child rape gangs.
And this is what, if you read some of the abhorrent recounting of what's actually happened to
the
these
individual cases really highlight it.
So I think we should stop calling them grooming gang, because that sounds all fluffy and a euphemistic thing. It's a rape torture gang.
Well, Terry, before you respond to that, let me just say to you, part of the reason they're called grooming gangs is because a lot of this was driven on social media, and on social media, things like rape and sexual abuse and whatever are prohibited by the algorithms, even if you're making quite a sensible comment. And so that's part of the reason why these euphemisms exist.
They've been going on longer than social media.
Sorry, Terry, please continue.
Yeah, sorry, you throw me a bit there, Andre, because you come out with so much stuff there in your debate. But...
Are you all discombobulated, Terry?
Yeah, well, slightly.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Slightly, but no, I mean...
Calm down, it's all right, breathe.
Yeah, I appreciate what you say there, but there is obviously a certain amount of subjugation in that community with women, arranged marriages. You know, there's a different ethic there, isn't there? There's different cultural ethic there.
Certain parts, in certain people.
It does tend to go that way. And, I mean, why do you think that it's particularly, the Pakistani men then? I mean, are they just completely disrespectful of women.
Well, it could be that it's got nothing to do with Pakistan. It's got nothing to do with Islam, and it's got something to do with a closed ethnic community that has no respect, no time, and no interaction with their white neighbours. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying that first of all we should have this proper investigation to find out. But I will tell you, I'm not so sure that these grooming gangs would take place in Pakistan. I think part of it is that we've got these closed communities, and that there is no value attached to being supportive or respectful of your white neighbours.
Yeah, it just reminds me, Andre, there was a case fairly recently, wasn't there? And all the, I think it was in India, all, women were up in arms, they were protesting because this girl was raped by a gang of men out there. Do you remember that one?
They do have a problem in India. They call it Eve teasing, and groups of men will, just grope women. They do have a problem. Women's rights in India, it's terrible.
Really? Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, in Islam, the reason why they say that women should go out with members of their family is because they are concerned about it being a bit like the Wild West out there.
Just coming on the religion point of view, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I mean, my view is, the church has got so much money, they invest so much money. If they were really concerned about the poor...
Yeah, they're not, are they?
They would, their church land, for example, a church near me.
Well, one of the big problems you have with organised religion, particularly Christians and Jews and Muslims, because they believe that redemption is in heaven, they're not necessarily particularly compelled to take action here on earth. I mean, this was the complaint of Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Her principal interest was the spiritual support for the dying rather than actually changing poverty in the city of Calcutta.
Christopher Hitchens said she was a wrong one.
Yeah, well, and that was Christopher Hitchens' criticism. And to be fair, from Mother Teresa's point of view, saving people spiritually in the last few days of their life was a valuable thing. What Christopher Hitchens said she should do is try and raise the poor out of poverty in Calcutta, which was less of an interest to her because she just didn't see... She saw your life on earth as a test to decide whether you go into heaven or not. If you think of it like that, then inherently you aren't interested in social change. I would suggest.
It feels like a bit of a mental illness, that type of thinking, doesn't it, really? I mean, you how can you complete that?
Well, one of them's got to be right. Thanks anyway, Terry. Nice one.
Thanks a lot, Terry. Really interesting.
Terry, Patrick is in Weston-super-Mare. Patrick, you are on Talk.
Hello, Patrick.
All right, Pat.
How you doing, Andre? How you doing, fucking Ash and Andrew?
That is actually my whole name. How do you know that?
Yeah, well...
I apologise.
My first name is...
Patrick, do you know what somebody was saying the other day? Not all the callers are doing dry January, are they?
I'm starting Monday. I thought it was...
He thought it was still December. He's so drunk. It's wet January for... Yeah.
Serious, actually, I'm not.
Of course you're not. What is it anyway, Pat? How can we be of service?
I just wanted to talk to you. I want to talk to the barrister.
Yes.
And is it Andrew?
Yes, it is.
£500 an hour.
That's per minute.
What's that for? I'll get a discount then.
I'll give you a discount. I'm feeling good.
And first of all, I want to. Because your man Terry and Ken and whatever was going on about the grooming gangs. I can tell you straight. And I sent a couple of texts in earlier on the WhatsApp thing. Yeah. And all I can tell you straight. And they say it's up the north and Rochdale and wherever else, Romford, I don't know, wherever. Yeah. But Birmingham is the biggest plague. And you got London and whatever. This is just about to come out. Like I said, yes.
Well, I thought that. I've got friends in Birmingham who say things are going on in Birmingham, and we're not hearing anything about it. They say it's going, but we're not hearing certain towns.
What I love, you make such a good point. What I love, and all the tweets and all the people saying, look, thank goodness that people are speaking about it in the media. Thank goodness we're doing that on Talk.
Well, mainly in social media and on Talk.
And that sort of stuff. And you're right to sort of highlight this, because there's going to be so much more coming out. And when people hear about it, and they say it's okay to talk about, we're not labelling anybody as racist or any other bits and pieces. All we want is the truth.
Yeah, that's right. But the best thing about it, when we talk about race, it's like the pyramid scheme. What I was saying in my WhatsApp thing.
Yeah,
we're talking. It's not just what it is. and I'll tell you straight, yeah, it is the Muslims who's doing it. I've seen it firsthand, and like I says, I had problems, and that's why I'm down Western, yeah. So
you left Birmingham to go to Western. What problems did you have in Birmingham?
Well, I had drug problems, and I've done my best to somewhere, and I had an addiction, and I sorted out.
But you can't talk about them, or what?
Oh, I can talk about my drug problems.
What problems did you have? What, in Birmingham you had to leave Birmingham?
No, I didn't. No, I never left. I went into rehab in Western, and I've been down here ever since.
Why didn't you go back after?
And it because 30 years of addiction, I know if I went back...
You get back into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because Birmingham's so depressing?
Well, it is now compared to 30 years ago, isn't it, Pat? Have you been down there lately?
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
Well, trust me. And it's like, trust me. And I was looking at the Stratford Road the other day, and I think I'll text you on this one as well, about the no-go zones. The one about the no-go zones, the Muslims years ago. Ash, you probably remember this.
I know it very well, that area, yeah. I don't know where the curry belt, basically.
Yeah. And
the Balti belt, that's what they call it.
But, 20 years ago, the Muslims put a stop. After 6 o'clock, you could not go down their roads.
Well, they had I don't know about that, but they had a similar thing in London. They had people, and they had, two men kissing and a red line through it, and, if girls would get...
so
they were saying there was certain parts of the East End where they put up signs saying this is a Muslim area, no gay people, no miniskirts and no dogs.
Yeah, that's right. The same thing. They say that years ago, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish and all that.
Yeah, but that was the white people.
That was just racist.
Yeah, but now, our own country, and it's... And like I say, I could go on to the illegal immigrants and what's coming over here. And we all know they're all soldiers coming over here.
Well, not all of them, but they are of military age.
Let me tell you. Let's be fair-minded. No, let's be fair-minded. Only 60% of immigrants from Syria believe that homosexuality should be punished by death. Only 60%. Oh, you old softies. Let's have the award for the old softies.
That's actually better than the British young ones, isn't it?
This is where we're going next. Because you saying that, there's nothing wrong with homosexuality or whatever you want to be.
This is the criticism.
I don't agree with the plus 25, plus Z and plus Q. And it
But this is...
and the plus P now,
But the reality is, thank you so much, Patrick. The big problem you have is no, I don't want to single one person out, but I will. Dilly Hussein and his gang from Five Pillars, what they believe is using the ballot box to bring in radical Islam into the United Kingdom. So they would ban homosexuality in line with Sharia law, but they would not force it in a revolution. They would actually do it through the ballot box. I remember, funnily enough, what's her name? Glenda Jackson's son, Dan Hodges. We did a debate that Dilly Hussein organised, and he whispered in my ear, I think he's more dangerous than the terrorists, simply because that he is determined to use democratic methods to push Sharia law onto Britain.
And it's so important, we go back to the point we said throughout this programme, it's so important that we debate it in a proper way. What I love about having the calls is that you can have somebody's view, but you can also challenge them in the same way. And I think this is the great thing about it. And just as we said beforehand, that obviously certain people are doing these horrible rape torture gangs, it's not every Muslim. And what I would like to see is some of the very senior Muslims calling it out.
Yes.
Because wouldn't that be so powerful as a message where we talk about that sort of side?
The lead. I mean, I remember. I'll just give this example before we go. When there was the attack on the Ariana Grande concert, I phoned up a friend of mine, a Muslim woman, and I said, get down there and do the bloody press conference. Because what we had was Taliban Tony out as usual, and what's the first thing he says? This is very embarrassing for Islam. We're very upset about this. Now, what they should have said was this. They should have said, last night, the city of Manchester came under attack. Everyone in this community is pulled together. Since that time, every member of our community that drives a taxi has been working for free. We've completed the operation of taking every young person home. That has taken us 15 hours to do it because some people have had to go a significant journey. All takeaways associated with this religious institution have remained open to offer free food and drink to the security services, the police and the young people who were stranded. We have now handed over every document about any worshipper to support the police in this counter-terrorism operation, and we are deeply concerned that we were not warned that a dangerous extremist was in our midst. However, we banned him. We will have further updates. Kaboom!
Absolutely. So control the narrative. This is exactly what we're saying, and I think that way you're not pandering to the prejudice.
Exactly, because actually what was relevant... Oh, and the other thing they could have said was this. Did you know this about your local mosque?
Yes.
Do you know, with Salman Abedi, they refused to give him a funeral or bury him. They said all terrorists go to hell, so there's no point in doing a funeral.
And that
never gets out.
So this is where we would want people to absolutely talk about it.
Exactly.
Because then we can stop the prejudice, we can stop the hatred, and focus on the people who deserve that hatred.
What happens is... Big old bloke with a beard, with the heaviest Pakistani accent you can hear, which I won't impersonate, stands up and goes, this is very embarrassing to Islam, which, of course, people watching at home go, well, with respect, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, more next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, Andre Walker in for James Wales, starring Asher
That's
Gilbert.
better.
OK, we're here with Andrew Eborn, and what we're going to do is we've got two callers lined up there, Robert and Jason. Robert in Hertfordshire and Jason in Walsall. I don't invite you to comment. And what we're going to do is we're going to hand them over to Andrew Eborn, who's going to do a psychic reading for them.
Because he's a futurist like Mystic Meg
So
was.
Robert and Jason both go live. Come on, Andrew will take over.
Robert and Jason, first of all, we've never met before, have we?
Yeah, we met this morning.
Yeah, right. So, Robin, what I want you to do, we've got a prediction. Yasmin came on last time I was on here last week, and she made a prediction. So, I came on today with a prediction, which we're going to try and do. And I want to start with you, Robert. Give me cards come in two colours. Is it red or black? Give me red or black.
Red.
Okay, red. Jason? Is it Jason?
Okay, Jason, go on.
Jason, you've got red cards. Is it a heart or a diamond?
Heart.
You're going for a heart, okay. Andre, is it a high or low heart?
It's a high.
A high heart, okay. And that, as you can, there's a high heart. So you've got, I want to finish with one of them.
What's going on? What's going on,
What's a high heart? Give us a high heart, Robert.
A jack.
A jack of hearts, okay? So jack of hearts. It's really important we haven't named anything. Throughout this whole programme, I've had a pack of cards on the table. We can do a close-up of this, make it really, really easy. So we come out here, and you've got this sort of stuff. We get rid of the joker. There's a joker over there like that. If I spread out the cards like this, have a look, nice and all the way through here, you'll see that all the cards are facing one way apart from one card.
Yes.
Apart from one card, independently and completely separately, you came up with a card. You could have picked the hearts or diamonds, whatever. And you came up with the Jack of Hearts, and that is the Jack of Hearts.
Tis the Antichrist.
It works well. That's what special for Ken.
Thanks, guys. That's the magic for tonight. Let's get back to...
Doesn't work for radio particularly. Jason, wait for a second. Robert, you're through to talk.
All right, Bob.
Hello, Robert.
Happy New Year to all of you, first of all.
Thanks, man. You too.
I can't believe that everybody's jumping up and down now about Muslim grooming gangs. There's a man in prison now, as we speak, who's been going on about Muslim grooming gangs for the last few years.
Correct.
I'm not going to mention his name. You know who he is.
No, you can say Tommy Robinson.
We've been talking about Tommy all night.
We've known about the grooming gangs for 25 years.
Rape torture gangs.
Well, yeah. Mark, I've got a cousin. She's part of Tommy's inner circle, really. I've met him several times. But I'm not a particular supporter, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Robert, can I tell you what annoys me about all of this? When people go, you have to be either a supporter or not a supporter. My view is, this man has raised a series of extremely important points about discrimination, about apartheid states in Luton, about de facto bans on interracial relationships, about grooming gangs, about violence and uncontrolled immigration. I don't care for going on a protest, and I'm not bothered whether he's a fraudster or not. I want to know whether he's right or wrong, and I want the problems investigated.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I've done some research. Even Google are sort of telling lies now. I've done some research the other day. I tried to Google how many mosques there is in the UK. First of all, he said there was 1,500 mosques, but it could be as many as 3,000.
Can I explain something to you, Robert?
What is that?
Robert, can I explain something to you that's really stupid, but is really, really important? Right, so there's a big debate about what constitutes a mosque and what constitutes a community centre with a prayer room. Right. The reason why a lot of mosques are called community centres with prayer rooms is because one of the biggest objections to a mosque being established in a particular area is parking during Friday prayers. And so what tends to happen is they don't get planning permission for a mosque. Instead, they get planning permission for a community centre with a prayer room. Right. That's why it's quite hard to know the numbers.
Yeah, it's a loophole.
Now, that isn't necessarily an attempt to get to... It isn't an attempt to play the system. It's more to do with requirements for parking on Fridays.
But it's so easy to solve, isn't it? Because what you do is say exactly that. You say, this is how we define a mosque. Yeah. This is how many there are. But you say your family's very close to Tommy. One of the things that they're saying about Tommy, and if he has visitors, they now all have to sign an NDA.
Yeah, what's that all about?
So, and as I say, it rises a suspicion as to what happened. Has your person who's very close, have they visited Tommy in prison?
Yeah, well, it's a girl. She's on the phone to him 2 or 3 times a week. She hasn't visited him. No.
Right. How's he doing? Can I ask, how's he doing? Because a lot of people are worried about him because obviously the conditions that we hear from those who do report is that it's pretty horrendous there.
Yeah, well, I think it was worse the last time he was in prison a few years ago. What happened was, if you remember, he went to court to try and interview a grooming gang. They'd already been convicted. Now they was going back to be sentenced. Him, along with the BBC, Channel 4, Sky News, he went to approach them to interview them. He was arrested straight away. He was taken to court that afternoon. He was actually in Belmarsh prison.
Robert, can I just stop you there and just explain one thing to you?
Yeah.
He talked to them on the way into the prison rather than the way out.
Right.
Into the court rather than the way out, which was the bone of contention at the time.
And I think this is why it's so important, because people, and you make such great points, and why it's so important to have your call. But it's people understand, they don't understand why Tommy's in jail. And it's all talking about contempt of court and the defamation action, which is a civil offence. Which is a civil offence, which he lost. And people will argue about the evidence and so on and so forth. And what they're talking about is the right of people to enforce, effectively, contempt of court, and where that happens, what the punishment should be. And those who oppose what's happened with Tommy say, look, 18 months in jail for contempt of court is too much. What's your view?
Well, yeah, I think it's too much. The thing is, as well, is that he was ostracised as a racist straight away. If you know, and what's happened is nobody's been allowed to speak out against Muslim grooming gangs. It don't even make the newspapers now.
Well, it does at the moment. It's like front pages.
At the moment,
but it hasn't historically.
Well, yeah, of course.
Going on for 25 years.
That's why it needs to blow up, doesn't it?
And we're going to continue talking. This is what we said throughout this programme. We're going to continue shining a spotlight on this until the issue is, and so many questions to be asked, why people have buried it effectively.
Well, it's still going on as well.
By the way, Robert, we're going to have to go now, but in addition to what we do on this show and on this channel, Andrew, what's your channel called?
I run OctopusTV. You can join me on the Andrew Eborn show. Go now.
It's not just for octopuses.
And I've interviewed lots of people connected with Tommy. We've had Lawrence Fox in, who's been on that sort of side. Go to YouTube now. You'll see OctopusTV.
No, don't go now.
After the show. The Andrew Eborn show. Do sign up, because we want to get people on who are going to talk about this thing.
Okay.
It's so important.
My channel has some really interesting stuff about Tommy Robinson from the inner circle of his team. That's at Andre Walker, at Virtual Ash.
At Virtual Ash. I ain't got a YouTube, but Twitter is where I do all my... X is where I do all my...
Great. All right. We're going to talk to Jason straight after the break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. What a great show. Not as good as if James was here, but I hope we've held our end up a little bit. OK, let's go to Jason in Walsall. Jason, you're on Talk.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing? How you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, JJ.
Yeah, my issue is I'm concerned about the rise of the far right in this country.
Right.
I mean, I drive from like Coventry to Glasgow 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
And I meet a lot of people, and I'd say 80% of them people have all got really extreme views, and like it's quite worrying. I mean, I ain't got nothing against Muslims. My biggest what problem is with the governments that we've had.
Yeah.
And they've let things get out of control.
So I mean, obviously, we've had a problem in this country, which is that you've got governments failing the public, and people will take out their anger on somebody. Now, I think that, first of all, the government's failed, and that's a problem. I think also there's been too much immigration, but there's no doubt that the way things have gone, the trajectory has turned nasty. I mean, when you say people have got very extreme views, without offending the taste and decency, are they basically neo-Nazis?
Oh, more or less, the P word comes out, the M word comes out, everything and it's stuff that I ain't heard for years.
But are these people who wouldn't have been like that and have sort of become like that? Because
see, that's what I'm saying. I've been doing this run now for 9 years. Yeah. And it's only been the last year, and I've known most of these people for that 9 years, and I've never heard them say them words before all this has started.
So it's causing problems, like we were saying earlier.
It is, and we're living in such a divisive world at the moment. And what's going to mean, at the same time, it's important that we do shine a spotlight on things like the rape torture gangs, but not to say that everybody from that particular religion are rape torturists. And I think if you look at that, then people don't get frustrated.
But I think, Andrew, it's the suppression of the truth. So that it's always they always say it's the cover up that kills you. Yeah. I think that it's the suppression of the truth that's caused the anger that Jason's talking about, and that anger is a problem.
No, and you're right, Jason, as well. And the other thing as well, though, people are very quick to use the label far right when sometimes there are legitimate concerns. Do you think it's right, Jason, that we are talking about the rape torture gangs and shining a spotlight on it?
Yeah, I think we should do, and it should be brought up and these people exposed and put in prison.
Yes, and do you think, thank you for that, Jason, do you also think that the way we've handled it tonight, dealing with sensitivities, because we don't want to inflame prejudice against Muslims or whatever it is, but rather the abhorrent behaviour of this small group of people, the rape torture gangsters?
Yeah, I mean, when I listen to talk every night when I'm on the road, and I don't hear any racist from any of the presenters or anything like that. It's all dealt with very sensitively. Yeah. And I think it has to be dealt with that way.
And thank you for that. It's got to be right.
Can I just ask you a question? I know this sounds like a stupid thing. If everybody that you know is now sort of really, the blood's boiling over all this, and they've perhaps become racist in a way they weren't a few years ago, what has left you immune? Why do you feel differently?
Yeah, because, I mean, you're in Walsall. I know Walsall has changed irreversibly in the last 20, 30 years.
I'd class myself as far right. I would now.
You class yourself as far right, yeah.
I don't go around calling people bad names, you know what I mean? Yeah. I work with Muslims as well in Coventry. I work at the logistics centre.
So you've always been somebody who might be an EDL supporter or something like that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Tommy Robinson because I don't want to class him as a racist.
But he's not far right, is he?
No, but I know myself. We've all been given that tag of far right. If they want to call me far right, then I'm far right.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I see, right. So you're not,
but that's the point, isn't it? And normally what they do, they use that to shut up an argument.
Yes. And well, they did it after the riots, didn't
exactly.
they? And how could you know what their political views were?
You dismiss everybody. It's like you're saying it's a conspiracy theory. It's a far-right theory or whatever. So what do you think makes somebody far right? Sorry, what do you think makes somebody far right then? What's the proper definition?
What makes somebody far right?
Yeah.
Definition. Opinions on what they don't like by another culture.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean. But that's what it means now. Yeah, you're right in a way. But that isn't.
Jason,
sorry, Andre. My trouble is the more that the government, whatever, is silencing people, the more underground it's going to go.
Yes.
And that's what's worrying.
But when you the things that you describe, look, people will use coarse language. I accept that. But I suspect that you and I have got very similar views in the sense that we want Britain to be a homeland for the British.
Yes.
We want to have a tolerant country. We want to be intolerant of intolerance. So when somebody wants to go out, I mean, I asked the Metropolitan Police why homophobic hate crime was increasing in East London only, and of course they wouldn't give me an answer. We all knew what the answer was: uncontrolled immigration. But I don't think that makes me a nutter or an extremist. No. I think what's happened is our government has vilified us for their own political reasons, and their political reasons are they want uncontrolled immigration.
Yeah, you're right. It's spot on. I wouldn't say hatred, but it seems to be hatred more so is towards our government and the Tories that was in before, because they've done nothing whatsoever about it. Not with the Brexit as well. And I don't know whether it was on last night's show or you said it, Andre, about how the governments are like scared when they want Brexit because it exposed them how weak they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? They couldn't handle it. They couldn't deal with that sort of pressure.
We don't live in a democracy anymore, and that was proven by Brexit.
No, and it's also got to be. I think it's also got to be right that we don't just label anybody with a view. I don't know anybody who would speak up for the rape torture gangs, and that's not a political thing. It's not saying you're left or right or whatever it is. It's abhorrent behaviour, and as soon as we start focusing on that, you can get away from people just labelling everybody accordingly.
Yeah.
All right, well, Jason, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your run to Glasgow. Brian is in Coventry.
Hello, Brian.
You're on Talk.
Hello there. Nice to speak to both of you. What shall I say? My gripe really is the amount of time that Ken gets on each week.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Thanks, Brian. No, I'm only joking. Sorry. Carry on. Sorry, Brian.
Giving us what would have been called in the 50s the fundamental gospel. We know ourselves that we label ourselves a Christian country, although we have 26 bishops sitting in the House of Commons, in the House of Lords, and claiming, expenses every day. And what we're finding, and what I'm finding when I go home from here, Coventry to Wales, that there are more churches that are closed than are open. Yes, there are great evangelical churches.
Yes.
The only growing churches in this country are the Pentecostal churches in great numbers. And what I feel is that people will and do confess on some sheet that they are Christian, but have no understanding of what Christian means, and that is from the 4- and 5-year-olds in schools who have no idea about the faiths at all. And I'm not ringing up to criticize Ken, but it's just the very nature of the old-fashioned style that he's putting across.
And what's really important, and I think this is, you started out by saying that Ken had too much time. The reality is we've also taken the call from you, and what I love about Talk is that this is a platform for everybody. We're not coming with any prejudices and saying we're not going to give you a voice. You absolutely have a voice. And what I liked about Ken's call as well, he made certain accusations against Andre, which when we drilled down...
We found out they were all true.
Well, turned out to be inaccurate.
But here's something that you're driving at, Brian, and I'll tell you why we give Ken so much time. And this is for me. Look, the reality is we don't stand up for our traditions. We don't stand up for our religion. We don't stand, and Ken does that. I don't agree with a great deal of what Ken says, but I have to say, if there were more people like him, I think Britain would be a better place. And I suppose my question to you, Brian, is how do we infect ordinary British people who've been so beaten into the floor with a sense of enthusiasm about their history, their religion, their culture and their country's achievements?
You've got 30 seconds.
they just don't understand the basics of it, and it comes from the fact that people are
10 seconds
looking at the church, that the church is dead in this country, and a lot of it goes back to the fact that the Bible needs to be looked at,
updated, doesn't it? Yeah, needs. Thanks, Brian. Let's go to Tony in Hornchurch. We got the gift. We got the basics of it. Tony.
Hello, Tony.
How are you, my son?
All right, man.
My son, go for it.
We only got about a minute.
Go for it, Tony. What would you like to say?
All right, we'll go on a quick one.
Yeah,
right, so I was watching Paul Thorpe earlier, and he was very...
I was meant to be on that show, I couldn't make it.
30 seconds.
He was very, very agonised.
We only got 30 seconds.
Right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We've got to change this round.
How are we going to do it? In 20 seconds, please.
Very, very quickly.
Is that it?
Oh, we've got to change the country round very, very quickly.
Yeah, we have. It's a pivot point, isn't it? Yeah.
Anthony, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Paul Thorne asked for my phone number and very kindly spoke to me. Seems like a very nice chap. Okay. That is the end of the show. Thank you so much to Andrew Eborn.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
There is a late night train.
Amazing.
That you can get,
I'm here. Thank
which
you.
is absolutely fantastic.
To hear from you.
James Whale will presumably be back next Friday.
Brilliant.
What I've said to him is I'll support him and come in any Friday that he needs me to come in, or not, depending on how he's getting on. Obviously, Andrew will continue to support us. Thank you so much to Asher Gould. I will see you again on Thursday with him. Until then, goodbye.